Congratulations.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I mean, you've been around this sport all your life. What attracts you to this situation?
Well, I think the one thing that attracts me is the fact that, like last year, having that pro experience, I realized that they're setting this league up from the top down. The administration of this league is exceptional. And because of that, I think it has a chance to work. The other part of it is the Canadian content, playing FIBA rules. All these things make sense to me. I think it's the right way to do it. The administration of putting the league forward is done right. They've got the right people in place. To me, it looks like a situation where coaches will coach, players will play, and bus drivers will drive the bus. It's going to be a very well-organized league with 6 real good franchises.
Joe, obviously, you mentioned your experience in the previous, the other basketball league in Canada with the Niagara River Lions as general manager and head coach last year. The River Lions joining the CEBL. Not asking you to throw the other league under the bus, but what are some things that you think will be different about this league and in turn be better about this league that you're joining?
Well, I think philosophically you've got two different differences. The other ones, I think the other league, and a lot of leagues that have started in Canada have been from the franchise development up, and then they try to make it, a corporate league. This is from the corporate part down. There's a vision, there's an idea, there's franchises working together. The entire league is working together for it to be successful. It'll be competitive. It'll be about winning, but there'll be the promotion part of the game, which is that piece is so important. And I just think it's just philosophical differences. Like, both have great talent, and we're going to look at a lot of those guys. A lot of the people, the same players will play in both leagues. But what I also like about this league is the Canadian content. The fact that I think the league right now is committed to more than 50% of the players being Canadian is so important. And the timing of the league will allow the best Canadians to be available.
I mean, it sort of mirrors the soccer league in that it's wired in with the international and the Canadian content, but the international rules. The basketball participation in this country goes back, right back to when they start putting air in the basketball. I mean, it's in every school system. There's this great talent pool, isn't there?
Well, no question. Like I'm a real believer that basketball is the most inclusive sport in the country. I think we've got the greatest, a huge participation base. We've got a huge, extreme different variety of people and cultures watching the game. I think to me, it's so important that we cater to all these people. And I think basketball is growing, and we're out of season, but that doesn't mean that there's not a basketball fan in that season. And I think regionally, that's going to be really important. But the key of having a strong administration to market these teams will help in that area.
I had a quick conversation with Mike Morreale earlier today, and he had mentioned that he's been trying to get you to be a part of this league for quite some time. When did he first reach out? How long has this been in the works?
Well, it's been in the works for a little while. Since Mike's pretty well come on board, we've talked about it. And, we've just talked about how to make basketball better in Canada. And to me, that's the part that this league is serious about. They're thinking about how do we make it better in the country, and to go nationally, to go out west, to have the Canadian content, to play FIBA rules, to work with Basketball Canada from the officiating right through to getting their support. All that is really important, and Mike's had the vision of this when he got into it, and he shared it with me, and we both agree that this is the way to grow the game.
Well, it'd be just an absolute dream come true to see it contribute to the national team, wouldn't it?
Well, you know what? National team players, there's a huge pool. We had 37 different players compete in national windows. If we're fortunate enough to compete from the World Championships next year, that means that we're going to have pros that are really good pros who've helped us contribute, not playing for the national team, but at least they can come back and play in this league and train, to get to the national team, or a young guy being identified. This is nice for a university player now to have the idea that I can go play in this league and get identified by other leagues. It's really important in development.
Joe, what is the title Director of Basketball Operations mean?
Well, you know what? I think it means I'll have input in all basketball decisions. I will stay away from the marketing. I will stay away from all that stuff that I don't know anything about. But when it comes to the basketball piece, helping each franchise, finding their coaches and developing their league, watching games, being the first point of contact, helping out, finding a leader of officials, all those things, regulations, all those things that are basketball component is where I'll come into play. We've got brilliant people at every other level.
Joe, when you think of it, I mean, you've been around this game all your life, but the way you're describing this, people would say, well, will it work? This is overdue, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I'm at the point where it's not a matter of will it work. It was like the same idea. Like I was a freak who didn't play ice hockey, growing up, trying to find a gym to shoot a basketball in. And that changed. And now we've got, we're more Canadians in the NBA than any other country. The game is popular. It's time now where kids have a dream of playing basketball and playing professionally. We're going to offer them another option. I think it's time. Like I hope it is, and I think I think we can do it. With Canadian players.
Joe, thanks very much. Congratulations.
Thanks, Louis. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
That's Joe Raso, Director of Basketball Operations for the Canadian Elite Basketball League. And much like the CPL, they both debut next year, and they're both wired into the national programs. Certainly a void that you couldn't possibly understand existed have now been filled by both leagues.